The invention of the nuclear bomb was one of the most consequential events of human history. Not only did it give us the ability to destroy entire cities in seconds, but it also led to numerous scientific advancements. Along with the major outcomes of the development of the atomic bomb were countless minor consequences, such as my grandmother moving from Rochester, New York to Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It was 1945. 7-year-old Sandra Stable, my grandmother, was living happily in her home in Rochester, New York with her mom, dad, and 1-year-old brother. All of that changed when her father, an eye doctor, was asked to move to Oak Ridge, Tennessee to care for the eyes of the men working on the top secret military project, aka the nuclear bomb.
Right, but first I would go into the plant to see what each one was, what they were doing, what they had to look at, and then I would examine them to make sure that they could see what their job was.
Her father left to begin his new job, and the rest of the family moved several months later after they were assigned a home. You may think that she'd be sorrowful that she had to leave her home and her friends, but she had her favorite song, Chattanooga Choo Choo, which is about going to Tennessee on his train to help her tolerate the whole experience. After not seeing her father for some time, Sandy was ecstatic to reunite with him, but that feeling did not last long and was followed by confusion. At first glance, she could already tell that Oak Ridge was a very peculiar town compared to Rochester. The sidewalks were boardwalks, the mud was red instead of brown, and a completely different language was spoken there. Even though New York and Tennessee are both in the U.S., to my grandmother and even her parents at first, the language was complete gibberish.
I can remember when I was first there, I went down there, I said, "What are those?" And I don't know, I couldn't understand what they were talking about.
The first thing she accepted and even enjoyed about her new life was her backyard, which led to a deep wood where she spent most of her time. When they first moved there, she did not make friends right away because she could not understand anyone, but that did not stop her curiosity. One thing she was fascinated by was the antics of her next-door neighbor, who would run up and down the boardwalk with a large baseball bat, chasing rats and pounding the wood to scare them. The other children would fall in line behind her as if this was a normal occurrence. Things were clearly different here, and it only got worse when school rolled around. Hard as it was to make friends because of the southern accent, understanding what her teachers were saying was a nightmare. She didn't know if they were on math, science, or history without looking at what book the other kids got out. And if there was a spelling test, she had no clue what the word was, never mind how to spell it. But it was more than their accents that confused her. It was also some of the words that they used in Tennessee that they didn't in New York. When she overheard two girls talking about a restroom, she imagined a beautiful place in school where you can sleep. She even followed them to see what this magical place was like. And you can imagine her disappointment when she found the girls' bathroom. Learning wasn't the only struggle. My grandmother was forced to endure a lonely lunch each and every day. None of the other kids sat with her or even talked to her. They most likely tried, but failed to understand my grandmother as much as she did to them. To add insult to injury, almost every single carton of milk was dead flies. Everyone else ignored them and just picked them out while she sat there horrified and queasy. Luckily, she was only in school for a couple months before summer vacation started. Despite not making friends right away, my grandmother eventually got used to the odd language the other kids spoke. During the summer, she began to meet and play with other children. Her first and best friend was Libby. Libby lived in the house attached to my grandmother's. Thankfully, she was from Virginia and not Tennessee, so her accent was only slight. As she played with the neighborhood children that summer, she started to interpret what they were saying. It was no longer gibberish, just English. In fact, she even acquired a southern accent herself. After that, she made plenty of friends who all enjoyed playing in Sandy's yard and going to the local swimming pool. She even participated in rat chasing, although my grandmother never actually saw a rat. She went back to school that year speaking a fluent southern accent and learning to adore living in Tennessee.